What's up, guys? Welcome back to Digital Dive In, your proper gaming talk show.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Woo! We're your hosts, fair
That
enough,
was,
and Same Guy Kush or JayDubbs. I don't know what they.
give me the
Of course,
fupa.
it's that. Of course, it's that. We're back at it again with another episode of your favorite gaming talk show, talking about the latest stuff that has everyone's been in a tizzy about lately. Because that's what we love to talk about. We love to talk about drama, get the drama in gaming, right? That's what we're all. No, we're
So
not like that.
toxic.
So toxic.
So
Okay, so
toxic.
we're not going to be toxic. No, we actually have a solid conversation that we really want to touch on because this is something that we have lived through consistently. Everyone's been talking about this since the news broke that Sony heads have said that the PS5 is in its later stage of its life cycle. And everyone online is talking about, oh, what the hell? It's only been out for 4 years. There's like 3 games for this thing. And it's like, okay, well, you have to look at it, right? We're going to be talking about, you know, that life cycle, that ultimately the console life cycle, comparing, the top games that have released so far for the PS5 in the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. Looking back at the PS4, even looking back at the PS3, which I think had the longest life cycle of a console so far. I want to say that it might be the Xbox 360 had the longest life cycle. Don't quote me on that. So we're going to look at those, see where the PS5 falls in that, and see if any of these arguments, carry any weight, right? So, without further ado, the PS5 entering its later stage life cycle. What do you think about that?
It just to be talking about it like that. I think it's a little bit too soon. I was just talking about this with I told KJ about that. And he was just like, yeah, man. I was like, yo, it feels like it just came out yesterday for me personally. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. It just like when the PS3 got to its like even when it got to its fourth or fifth year, it felt more complete. PS4 fourth or fifth year in kind of felt more complete. And then this one just really feels like with the way Xbox is making all their shifts and Sony's starting to make their weird shifts. It just I don't know. It just feels like almost like a throwaway generation where they're just like,
You
all right,
think?
well, let's pivot midway. Now we're going to work on live service games. We're going to work on things being which means if they're working on live service games, they're working on things to be continuous. They're working on these games on PS6 already, or working on
Fair.
PS6 versions of these games. They're already thinking about the next generation. What
Yeah.
now? Whether they come out with the Pro or not will really determine how invested they are in this
Yeah.
thing. You
That's
know,
a good point too, because they're already talking about like the PS5 entering its later stage of its life cycle, but then they're also talking about the PS5 Pro and a PS5 Slim as well. The PS5 Slim that tracks for how long the console has been released, because that's basically the same thing that happened with the PS4, released like 5, 6 years or like 4 or 5 years after its release date. But like the Pro, like if it's already like if the PS5 is already trending downwards, like then what's the point of even doing a Pro? Why don't you just wait for the six? And that's ultimately the biggest like conversation, right? Is like, okay, so I can either buy the Pro or just wait for the six, see if the Pro is better, whatever, and then go from there.
yeah, and I mean, what the PS4 Pro came out with that was like the 6 year,
Yeah,
the
something
fifth,
like that. Yeah, it was towards the end. It was like 2 years before the PS5 came out.
which was really really weird to
Yeah, and the PS4 Pro had some solid advancements over the base PS4, like significant advancements, because it was like they had more 4K capabilities, had way higher storage. It was ultimately like far better than the base PS4.
it
So
took
like,
so long to come out.
exactly, and then the PS5 came out like 2 3 years later, and it's just like, okay, what?
And there's that whole thing with Xbox with them. just releasing their next console maybe next year or the year after, or
Yeah.
speeding up their times tables for their new. Like it's almost like they just want to get to the next thing. Like
I
they're
mean,
just
that's usually how tech works. I mean, smartphones are released with a brand new phone every single year. Now, they usually, like, cell phone users skip a generation or two, like skip a year or
right.
two or more. Like my wife still has OnePlus 6 that released like 4 years ago, right? Or longer, I think, actually, because we're 6 years ago, because we're on the OnePlus 12 now. So, typically with cell phones, they hold on to them longer, whereas like consoles, they expect people to just upgrade to the newest thing every single time one comes out. So, I mean, technology ultimately is always just looking to advance as fast as possible. With consoles, because, they're a kind of a big investment. Like, it's $500 to $600 every 8 years, every decade almost, less than a decade. You got to think about it in that respect. Like, people aren't going to be holding out for the next thing when they have like a PS4. They're not going to wait for the PS6. Like, that's not a thing that people are going to do, because they miss an entire generation of games
Yeah,
that
but
don't
that's
release on
something
the
that
PS4.
I mean, that's something people are doing. Like there are people that skip the three and
Some,
got the
some,
four. There are people that are skipping the five and getting the six. There are some people
sure.
that skip the four, got the three, now they got the five. So
But I think with gaming is like it's a
not,
lot
not
harder to do that, because there's so many games that end up being exclusive to that console that you are going to miss out on. I mean, hell,
yeah,
they only stopped producing games for the PS4 like a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago,
yeah, but then
last year.
you gotta think about the real question is it are they going to make it worth it? Like some people don't
True.
think the PS5 is worth it yet, and that's the real question you're
I
talking
mean,
about
that's
here.
valid.
How are
People
they
can say
going
that.
to make something like make the next generational leap worth it? Like some
Yeah, I
people,
mean, they're already talking about the PS or the Xbox, the next Xbox being like the largest technological leap of any console ever, which I could see them doing, because I feel like the Xbox Series X just didn't do a whole lot of anything in this generation in terms of like performance and everything. Because I mean, like, the PS5, there was a decent leap from the PS4 to the PS5 in terms of just power, right? But like with the Xbox
so with
One,
the Xbox Series,
The Xbox One was a solid console. Like, that thing performed really, really well. And between that and the Xbox Series X, there just wasn't much.
you mean the 60 frame to 120 frame leap, which Xbox Series X was playing way more games at 120 frames than PS5 was, and they both claim the same stuff. They both claim it's where it would be 60 to 120. You know how much stuff PS5 was lacking when it first came out?
Yeah, but okay, so,
Practically everything they bragged about,
see,
and
no,
some
but
of it's still missing.
yeah, but that's the thing though. Like, and that's, I think, again, a dev issue, not a console issue, because even with like Xbox spouting, oh, we can run games at 120 frames, but then you have Bethesda releasing games at 30 frames. So it's like, the fuck is going on here? So it's 100. That's 100% a dev issue, not a console issue. The console can handle it. The console can run it. It's all about the optimization of the game itself.
Well, don't promise things that your devs can't deliver. It's very
Deal.
fucking simple.
That's basically
Very
it.
fucking simple. Like they
So,
both promise things that have not come to fruition.
no, you're
But
right.
like,
You're right about that 100%. So my whole thing, right, is this whole them saying that the game or the console's in this later stage. It's in line, right? It's in line with every other Sony console, and I think the reason that people feel like it hasn't been out for that long is purely because of COVID and the whole COVID shortage. And the fact that a lot of PlayStation 5s were not available for like 2 years. There's that whole shortage of PS5s and Xbox Series X's. But I mean, let's be honest, the PS5 definitely won this generation by and large. So it's like, because of those 2 years where like they were super hard to get, and it was always in the public eye about how hard they were to get, it felt like, 2 years were missing from this entire generation, when in fact a good amount of people still were able to get their hands on the PS5 and play it and enjoy it and everything. I mean, I got mine on launch. in Mexico. Yours got stolen, so that sucked. But
hey, but it allowed my third eye opening for my PC mentors to shine
exactly.
through. So
but like, if you look all the way back at like the PS2, right? The PS2 launched in 2000. After that, the PS3 launched in 2006. That's only 6 years difference. From there, the PS4 launched in 2013. So that's another, 13 years. And then from there, the PS4 to the PS5, that was 2013 to 2020-ish. So that's 6 to 7 years. So now we're looking at, a possible release date for the PS5. If they're talking about if this is in the later stage, it's been out for 4 to 5 years. I guess, did it release in 2020 or 2019? I thought it released in 2019.
2020, dude.
2020. Okay, so it's been out for 4 years. Almost 4 years. So if you're looking at this being like it's going to be an 8-year-old lifespan console, we have another 4 years left on this, which means we're going to get a substantial amount of games going forward. But that's kind of in line with what we've been seeing.
Substantial amount of live service going forward.
Well, there's also that.
Correction.
Sucks. There's also that sucks. But then even with Xbox, right? The Xbox 360 released in 2005. Xbox One released in 2013. So that's, 8 years?
Yeah.
If my math is right, which is probably not. And then from 2013 to 2020, there you go. It's another 7 years. So it's very much in line. I think it's just that COVID bubble that makes it feel like the PS5 has not been out for that long. But the other thing on top of that is the argument that there haven't been a whole lot of games that have released to the PS5, which I think is also a lie. I think it's just people feeling that like not a whole lot of games have released because the bulk of the games released have been sequels to established franchises, which is a conversation in and of itself that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but we're not going to talk about it here because it's a really good conversation. But
yeah, I mean that's what they're saying. Like it just they haven't really diversified their roster enough.
And that's a valid argument, right? I mean, like the biggest releases for the PS5 have all been sequels. It's been The Last of Us, it's been God of War, it's been Horizon, it's been FromSoft, so Dark Souls, it's been even like, Resident Evil and Armored Core, right? All of them have been sequels. All the original IPs, like we haven't seen a whole lot of original IPs. Like we saw Returnal, which bombed on release because it did not perform well. It was not optimized well enough for the PS5 at all. We saw Hogwarts Legacy, which was solid. That was really solid.
But that was also multi-platform.
It was multi-platform, right? And then you had Stray, which performed really well, and that was a really good game. That's true. It was multi-platform.
So yeah, it's a
lot of multi-platform, not a whole lot of like releases solely on next gen that weren't just sequels. So there haven't been a whole lot of original IPs, which I think is a valid argument, right? And that's what the PlayStation just franchise in general is becoming. It's becoming a franchise system, which is fine because the Xbox is in a similar vein, right? They have their Halos, they have Bethesda games now, which have done not a whole lot since they got, but like
I think they're gonna really diversify a lot more than what Sony is doing currently.
Possibly. We haven't really seen that much, but
for what we have seen, there's been like a variety. Can't knock it.
They've had a lot of smaller original IPs. They haven't had a whole lot of like really big level original IPs. All their biggest games have been, the only big original IP was Starfield, and even that was met with a shit ton of controversy.
Clout does not matter. I'm not talking about big, little, whatever.
I'm talking about like their heavy hitters. I'm talking about their heavy hitters. Like that's what we're talking about here. Like you have to look at the games that have like, you can say in general, but like if a game doesn't do anything, then what's the point? It's not garnering any hype. It's not getting any players. It's not making them any sales. You have to look at what their big games are. I mean, if you want to talk about the PlayStation, they've had a fair amount of IPs that just haven't really done anything. There's just been super smaller games that have just kind of released under the radar, and don't do much of anything. Now, Xbox has had more luck with that, with Hi-Fi Rush and the freaking High on Life and those style of games.
Yeah.
So props for them on that for sure. They've had a lot more of success for those style of games. But even that, those are the only two real big IPs on Xbox that I can really think about besides, their big staples. So
yeah.
I would say both systems are becoming franchise systems, but it's just a matter of how many of those franchises we get. Because even Sony, this year, said that they're not going to be releasing any sequels to their staple games until 2025. That ain't going to touch them. They're just going to be in development for this year, which is
good.
Great. I love that because it sets the stage for more original IPs to release for us. Except we really haven't heard much of anything from Sony, so it's like,
yay. No,
so it's weird. I don't know.
I think Xbox is going to be doing a lot more diversifying with its game releases, as it has been doing in the past couple of years.
They might. I mean, all the biggest games for 2024 have been third-party titles that are releasing on all platforms. So,
I think Sony's going to try this fucking live service shit to bed. You know what they're trying to make room for? Live service games. That's what they're doing.
I don't understand the whole point of that. And I don't want to make this a whole Xbox versus Sony thing, because I mean they're both talking about the same thing. They're both talking about their consoles being in the later stages and gearing up for the next generation of consoles. So they're both doing exactly the same thing, just in different ways, really. But I don't know. Do you really think? Do you think that this whole gearing up for the PS6 and the next Xbox is a bad thing? Do you think it's in line? Just I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you really think the PS5 has been a throwaway generation?
I think we do need to move on, because for some reason we just can't get games that can stay consistently at 60 frames per second at 1080p, and that's a thing. That's really a thing. So
sucks.
I think
it's
we need to.
As fuck.
But then it's like, if you didn't get what you paid for this time, what's the difference going to be next time when they give you the same story about how this is the next generation? Things are going to be so much better, and you get the same shit.
Yeah, if we get to the PS6 and games aren't running at a minimum of 60 frames and looking in actually native 4K, because we have not seen anything in native 4K since its launch in either Xbox or PlayStation. So, what the fuck? They said, oh, the console can support up to 8K. It's like, all right, cool. Make a fucking 8K game. You fucking haven't. Have you? No, you have not. You've been giving us, we still have the choice of picking performance or fidelity. PS6 better have both. Guaranteed. Fuck that shit. I don't want to choose between 60 frames or 4K resolution with ray tracing. I'm paying $500, $600, whatever, how much. This is probably going to be $800 for, the next generation of console. I'm going to have a better TV I'm going to have a 4K TV. I want to be able to play 4K games, right? At 60 frames or more. The fuck? If you had the option to give me, okay, so we'll play it at 1080p, but you'll get 120 frames. Oh yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that in a heartbeat, 100%. But this whole you can play it at 4K, but it'll be 30 frames. I'm like, yeah, you can suck my dick. Nah, fuck that shit. I will never play anything at 30 frames. That shit sucks. Once you get up to 60 or higher, you can tell the difference. You can really tell the difference. I can tell the difference between playing Suicide Squad at 30 frames versus 70. It's there's a difference, okay? If you can't see it, then you're playing on an old ass TV and it doesn't fucking matter. But come on, we're paying for this, right? Shit.
I mean, I pay for this beater right here, and I'm playing at 244 frames per
Yeah,
second.
well, calm down. Okay, my PC can't handle that shit. Okay, my PC can barely. Like I'm running Suicide Squad at a solid 50 frames, and that's only because I turned up the resolution and the textures a bit because I want it to look a little bit nice, not grainy as fuck. So
I'm getting like
yeah,
100 to 120.
I gotta boot. I gotta buy a different GPU. But anyways, but that brings me to my other point with this, and that is like the constant and utter conversation about devs like halting their production of previous generation games. Like if there's a new game that releases and it doesn't release for PS4, everyone is up in arms. I'm just like, you are the reason we're getting held back. 110%, you are the reason. Okay? Because you have to move on at some point. You can't just keep on making games on one and optimizing it for the next gen because it never works out. We saw that with Cyberpunk. We saw that with fucking Gotham Knights. It was made for PS4, optimized for PS5, barely. I'm like, I fucking hate this. This sucks. I know. Like, make it. If you want to do it the other way around, right? Now, the PS5 is backwards compatible, so have it be able to play, next gen games just at a lower scale. Like,
they are going to have to really convince people why to get a PS6 because I don't think there's going to be a lot that's going to change graphically. They're either going to have to push it up the performance to like 90, 120. And
yeah, I think their biggest thing is they really have to pour effort into the performance because Xbox did have the PS5 beat on performance, even though like the specs for both systems were almost identical. Like literally, they're like minuscule differences for both systems. Like the Xbox Series X was able to squeak out just a little bit better performance. So I think
they said it was easier and I think Dev said it was easier to work with.
Yeah, like, I mean, and I get that for sure because it's on a Microsoft system. So that automatically makes it a lot easier. That's why we always see like, PS5 ports to PC being really weird and sketchy. Like the Last of Us port was fucking horrible. So
yeah, like, Sony, catch the fuck up to the PC.
Honestly, we need to end. That's another thing that I hope in the next gen we just get rid of exclusives entirely. Like have them be timed exclusives, sure, to sell consoles and get the game early, but like at some point just release everything. Like fuck, we already heard rumors about Xbox releasing their titles onto PS5. And I'm like, hell yeah, do it. And everyone's like, so many Xbox guys are asking for Helldivers 2. Give it to them. Fuck yeah. Give them Helldivers 2. That's a great game. I really want to fucking play it. It looks so much fun.
No, I mean, just do it day one. Just do it day one. It's fine. Like,
I understand the point because they're trying to sell consoles, but like exclusives don't really sell consoles anymore. People have, we had this conversation before. People already have their brand loyalties, so they're going to buy your console regardless.
Also, like, at the end of the day, y'all going to stay on consoles because it's cheaper for y'all and it's less of a headache. And so there's always going to be that barrier, but I do want to break down this barrier. I want all these console motherfuckers to get a PC so they can understand how stupid they've been and they can stop talking about this shit.
Look, people are just going to buy whatever console their friends are on. That's literally it. They're not buying it really for themselves. They're going to buy it for whatever their friends are buying. If all their friends, like that's the reason I got a PS4, right? Is because my buddy Jose got a PS4 first. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I'm going to buy this so we can play together. Duh. Like that's ultimately what drives a lot of people is what their friends are playing on. So
for me, I just picked what I wanted. I didn't really have friends to play with online because I didn't have internet back then. So
true.
Yeah. I didn't get internet till probably like the end of high school.
Fair.
But like, no, I just got a PS3, and it just so happens that everybody else got a PS3 as well. Yeah. Or
I got an Xbox because of college, because most of my friends from high school had an Xbox. So I was like, all right, shit.
At first, Ed had an Xbox. At first, Ed switched over to PS4 or PlayStation with the
sure
end of the PS3 into the PS4, but he started off with Xbox.
Yeah.
So he got all that.
I mean, I started
got,
off with PlayStation because I was a
he got
Sony
like Left
fanboy
4
growing up.
Dead. Like, he got all that. The
Oh
golden
yeah,
age.
Left
Of
4 Dead was iconic. And that's another thing. You gotta look at the generations of like the biggest like multiplayer games. Nowadays, a lot of people are just content with playing single player games because a lot of multiplayer communities are toxic as fuck.
But it's not toxic. It was always that toxic. But like you just didn't give a fuck. You didn't put your feelings into it. You just got online, talk some shit, call somebody a dickhead.
Nowadays though, like the loudest generation is like the millennials, and like we give a fuck now because we're like we don't want to deal with that drama. I'm gonna chill and play a single player game by myself. And that's where like Sony kind of fell into it. I feel like the PlayStation became like the millennial console. It was like the millennial dad console. We come home from work, we have our kids, we just want to vibe out to a single player game and just chill. That's what I want to do. Shit.
Bruh, Star Wars was anything but chill, my guy.
I mean, Phil. Not that we want to chill, we just don't want to deal with other people. But anyways, but yeah, I don't know. There definitely has to be a reason to buy the next gen consoles, a solid reason, and we'll have to wait and see what that is. But I don't know.
These and that's another thing. These console releases are getting weaker and weaker, man. Like over the generation.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a whole lot. I'm not super hyped to like move on from my PS5. I'm still enjoying my PS5. Thing is, I haven't played it in a while. Well, I go back and forth, right? Because like there's a couple games I'll get on PS5, and then I'll get a game on my PC. Like I'm playing Suicide Squad. I got that because of my Steam Deck, even though that shit needs to get optimized on Steam Deck. Like fuck, because it keeps crashing. Jesus Christ. Yeah, shit keeps crashing my Steam Deck. But she crashed on my PC once, and I had to change my settings a little bit to make it work. But anyways, but no, but then I've been really thinking about where I want to buy Helldivers 2. I don't know if I want to buy it on my PC. I don't know if I want to buy it on PlayStation. So,
isn't it crossplay?
It's crossplay, but like you have to buy each version of it. Like you can't just get the PS5 version and then also play it on PC.
No. I know that, but I'm just saying, if you're worried about who you are going to play with, you can just buy it on whichever one you want, and then.
No, I know, but that's the thing. I don't know what I want to buy it on because I ultimately enjoy playing on my PC because I also have my Steam Deck, and that just allows me to play on more systems.
Bro, play the long game, dog. Do you know how much shit I bought from my PC back 4 years ago when I was downgraded to prepare for this moment?
I know.
Just play the long game, my guy.
Before it was a conversation of what games feel better on mouse and keyboard, but then I could just connect this boy to my PC, and I'm happy playing with this. So that's why I play Suicide Squad, because playing Suicide Squad on a mouse and keyboard sucks ass. Playing it on this is nice. But anyways,
that's the thing. The games coming out now are adding haptic feedback to the games that releases on PC too. So, exactly. Yeah, you can't let it get tired.
Yeah, ultimately, I don't know. I do think we should just move forward, but I will say that so far the PS5 releases have been significantly weaker than the PS4. Or like overall, I think, I mean, like for the PS4, we had games like the original Horizon Zero Dawn, we had Last of Us Part 2, we had, Doom Eternal, we had Elden Ring, Red Dead Redemption, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, like, so all those games are just like fucking iconic. Some of the greatest games ever made, in my opinion. And then with the PS5, we had bro, Ghost of Tsushima, it's up there. It's up there, bro. It's up there. Marvel Spider-Man, it's fucking up there. Come on now.
Nah, Detroit Become Human is up there.
Detroit Become Human is up there. Again, Doom Eternal, fucking up there. Don't even lie.
Well, that's not that's multi-plat. Are you just?
I'm talking about the console generation.
Just in general.
Yeah. I'm just looking at PlayStation because we're talking about PlayStation. But either way, console generation, Fuck.
Yeah.
So, but then like you look at the anime, fucking Dying Light 2. Come on, Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
Dying Light 2 was iconic. fucking great game. But then you look at the PS5, it's been mostly sequels. You know, Alan Wake 2, Resident Evil, tons of fucking remakes. You know, we haven't gotten the Tsushima thing yet, but Diablo 4, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War, what, 6? Whatever it is now. So like, it's just been a lot of sequels.
Death Stranding 2.
Death Stranding 2. So I don't know. And all of them have been, even Marvel Spider-Man 2, they've all arguably been weaker than their original game that released on the previous console generation. So, except for Alan Wake 2. I think Alan Wake 2 is the better game, but that's a whole other conversation. So, it's weird. I don't know. Yeah, this generation has been fucking weird, for sure. It's a mixture of COVID. It's a mixture of just a ton of sequels, an overabundance of sequels. It's, I don't know. It's a lot of weird shit.
It's trendy. And that's what I hate about it.
It's a sequel generation, and it is what it is. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's valid.
Fucking trends.
Yeah.
It's like, and now you got fucking Kojima on his bullshit again. I'm gonna make a movie game. Oh, we just got finished saying we need not to stop with all these movie games.
You just got Death Stranding, bro. Like,
let me just play. That's why I like Hellskate. That's why I like all these other, because it's just a fun fucking game. Give me a skateboard. Give me some magic guitar that slashes demons.
Honestly, that's why I won't play Helldivers 2, because it just looks like a fucking blast fighting aliens and robots, and that just looks like fun.
Keep it simple. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I can't wait to see what this fucking nutshell of a game's gonna be. Like, honestly, this the first quadruple A game by Harold.
That's all. I mean, sorry, you said quadruple A game, and I thought you were talking about fucking Skull and Bones and Ubisoft saying it's the first quadruple A game. I'm like, you can suck my dick. No, the fuck it's not. But anyways, that's a whole conversation. Anyways, guys, let us know what you think about this. Do you think that the PS5 moving on to the PS6 is too early to be even talked about? Do you think that COVID was a big reason why the PS5 has felt kind of lackluster in general, and the Xbox Series X for that matter? This whole console generation. What do you think about the games between the PS4 and Xbox One and this console generation? Let us know all your thoughts about everything we talked about in the comment section below, because we would love to hear from you. That's the whole reason we fucking do this thing, right? Shit. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notified whenever these videos go live. It's every single Friday. We're also going to be starting to do the podcast yet again. Also working on creating a Patreon so you can see, you know, unedited versions of all these, so you can see all the outtakes, all the randomness, all the bullshit that goes into before and after these videos. It's a whole utter mess. It's a whole lot of hot takes and just absurdity, so it's fun. But you only get that with the Patreon, so that'll be in the works. Check out that soon. But
the disrespectful thing this man says to me, he abuses me, guys.
Yeah, I do.
I need help.
I do. I abuse him with love. Guys, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Stay excellent. And we'll see you guys in the next dive in. Peace out.